Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back to our Hanafi fiqh class. We are doing the kitab known as I'ala Sunan of Mulana Zafar Ahmad Thanvi rahimahullah. And tonight, inshallah ta'ala, we are touching on another important chapter, much like last week. So without extra delays, let us begin. Bismillah walhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillahi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. So we are doing Babu annahu la yamassul Qur'ana illa tahirun. The chapter that no one may touch the Quran except one who is in a state of purity. And now, the reason why I say it's important is because up until this very late day and age, you still find people and they come along and they say, no, you don't need wudu to touch the Quran because that refers to touching the Lawhi Mahfuz and things of the sort. Nonetheless, as a person will see from the ahadith itself, that it is something which is established nonetheless. So the first hadith is hadith number 364 عن حكيم بن حزام رضي الله عنه قال لما بعثني رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إلى اليمن قال لا تمس القرآن إلا وأنت طاهر. رواه الحاكم في المستدرك وقال الصحيح الإسناد ولم يخرجاه. This هو is a typo. ولم يخرجاه ورواه الطبراني والدارقطني ثم البيهقي في سننهما كما قال الزيلعي. Okay, so Hadrat Hakim ibn Hizam radiyallahu anhu, he said that when Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam sent him to Yemen, then Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam told him, and at least with the teachings and the advices of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, one such advice was that do not touch the Quran except that you are in a state of purity. So therefore, do not touch the Quran if you're not in a state of wudu, in other words. So that's the first one. Imam Hakim rahimahullah reports it in his Mustadrak, and he says the chain of narration is authentic, but Imam Bukhari and Imam Muslim did not report it. And Imam al-Tabarani and Imam al-Daraqutni rahimahumullah both report it, and thereafter Imam Bayhaqi as well. So in other words, Imam al-Tabarani in his Mu'jam, and then Imam al-Daraqutni and Imam Bayhaqi in their Sunans. Okay, that's the first narration. Moving on to the next one, hadith number 365. عن عبد الله بن عمر رضي الله عنهما أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال لا يمس القرآن إلا طاهر. رواه الطبراني في الكبير والصغير ورجاله موثقون كما في مجمع الزوائد وفي العزيز إسناده صحيح. So Hadrat Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma, he said that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, do not touch the Quran except when you are pure. Imam al-Tabarani rahimahullah reports this hadith in his Mu'ajam kabir. He also reports it in al-Mu'ajam al-Saghir, and the chain of narrators are authentic. Or at least the narrators in the chain are authentic. This is mentioned in Majma' al-Zawaid, and in al-Azizi it's mentioned that the chain of narration is authentic. At least the narrators are trustworthy and the chain of narration is authentic, to be more verbatim. Okay, moving on. حديث number 366 عن الزهري قال قرأت صحيفة عند أبي بكر بن محمد بن عمرو بن حزم ذكر أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم كتبها لعمرو بن حزم حين أمره على نجران وساق الحديث وفيه والحج الأصغر العمرة ولا يمس القرآن إلا طاهر. روي مسندا ولا يصح، قاله أبو داود في مراسيله. وفي التعليق المغني قال الحافظ ابن كثير وهذه وجادة جيدة قد قرأها الزهري وغيره ومثل هذا ينبغي الأخذ به. قلت إلى آخره end quote. قلت أبو بكر تابعي أرسل عن جده كما في تهذيب التهذيب. Okay, so Imam Ibn Shihab, Abu Mus'ab Ibn Shihab al-Zuhri, he said that I read a sahifa, a scroll, a parchment, a book, as we would say, by Abu Bakr ibn Muhammad ibn Amr ibn Hazm. So he read it by Abu Bakr, in other words. Abu Bakr is a grandson of Hadrat Amr ibn Hazm. So he says that in this, Imam Az-Zuhri, he says that in this letter that he found over there, it's mentioned that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam had written it for Hadrat Amr ibn Hazm radiyallahu anhu when Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam appointed him over the people of Najran. And he continues on the hadith until it reaches the point, and Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam had written in that letter, written here meaning instructed a Sahabi to write, because Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam did not personally write it. So nonetheless, in this part of this hadith which has been written down is وَالْحَجُّ الْأَصْغَرُ الْعُمْرَةِ. The minor hajj is performing umrah. And وَلَا يَمَسُّ الْقُرْآنَ إِلَّا طَاهِرٌ. And this is the point of how what is linked to the chapter. In this hadith it mentioned, and do not touch the Quran except or none should touch the Quran except one who is pure. It's reported in a musnad form, but it's not authentic. That's mentioned by Imam Abu Dawud in his Marasil, uh, but it's mentioned in the Ta'liq al-Mughni, Ta'liq al-Mughni. Imam Ibn Kathir, rahimahullah, he said that this is a wajadatun jayyida. What is a wajada? Wajada is one of the hadith terminologies. It means when a person comes across a hadith written down, but you have no chain of narration or any ijaza for it. So in this case, Imam Ibn Shihab al-Zuhri, he read this piece of paper. Let's put it this way. Today, a man in the street come and he reads, he picks up Bukhari and he reads the hadith over there. In essence, this would be deemed as being a wajada, in the sense that he didn't hear it from anybody. That hadith over there, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ, for example, he's never heard it in his life before. Neither has he read the hadith to anyone to have gotten ijaza in it. So from that technical hadith perspective, such narrations are referred to as being a wajada, something like that. The literal translation, it means something which has been found. So anyway, Imam Ibn Kathir, he says that this wajada is something which is jayyid, it is a very good one. It was read by the likes of Imam Ibn Shihab al-Zuhri and others. And the likes of this, it is necessary to take hold of it. In other words, it's necessary to follow the likes of this. Mulana Zafar Ahmad, he says that Abu Bakr ibn Muhammad, he was a tabi', he was from the tabi'in, and he did irsal, meaning he narrated in a mursal form, meaning between him and his grandfather, there was somebody, but he missed that person out. So he says he's a tabi'i who narrated mursalan from his grandfather, and you'll understand this from Tahdhib al-Tahdhib of Imam Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, rahimahullah, in the sense that uh, when the teachers of Abu Bakr ibn Muhammad listed, then his grandfather Amr ibn Hazm is not listed as one of his teachers. Or it's mentioned explicitly that he narrated Mursalan from his grandfather. Things of this sort. That's how it would be mentioned. That's how we know that, hey, he's narrating from his grandfather, but he never actually met his grandfather. Ergo, there was somebody else in the chain over here, but that person is not being mentioned. So it is a Mursal narration. And that's why Imam Abu Dawud had reported it in his book of Marasil. Marasil is plural of the word Mursal. So anyway, at the end of the day, what is being stated over here is that while Imam Abu Dawud held the opinion that it is not authentic, Imam Ibn Kathir held the entire opposite viewpoint, and he says this is something which is necessary to follow, to accept and follow. Okay, so that's the end of this chapter. Like I said, a very straightforward one. We did a total of 3 hadith in this chapter. Simply put, we established the fact that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam had said, "Do not touch the Quran except if you are pure." Purity over here refers to major and minor. It's not limited to major impurities, which means as long as you have ghusl, you can touch the Quran. No, if you have any form of hadath, then you are not in a state of tahara. In essence, tahara, when it's used unrestrictedly, it means complete. So purity from major and minor impurities. Major impurities needing ghusl, minor impurities needing wudu. So therefore, you cannot touch the Quran. You can read it from memory, sure, that's in its place, but you may not touch the Mus'haf itself. And this, the ruling of touching a Mus'haf, also applies in today's world to touching a cell phone, because this is a very common question. Can I touch my cell phone when I have what you call a see now when I don't have wudu? The ruling in this regard is that because a cell phone is something which is editable, not editable, but it's got multi uses. So you have an app open now, and then you click a button, and it's gone to the back, and it shows nowhere. So this is not something. A Mus'haf is a hard copy of the Quran. Nothing you're going to do is going to change that fact of it. So when it comes to the usage of an app on a phone, then when you have the Quran app open on your phone, you may not touch the phone at all. Some people think, well, I'm holding the phone in my hand, I'm just not going to touch the screen. but that's not good enough. With the minute the app opens up, the whole phone takes on the rulings of the Quran. Think of it as you've got a cover. You know, you buy these material covers to cover the Mus'haf with. But when it's standing on its own, it's just a piece of cloth. But the minute you put the Mus'haf inside that cloth, then it becomes prohibited to touch that cloth without wudu. That's how it follows. So therefore, when you have an app on your phone, and the minute you open the app up, then the phone takes on the ruling of a Mus'haf, so you may not touch the phone at all. Not It's not only restricted to the screen, it means the entire phone itself. And the world we live in today, we've gone beyond the phones which have buttons and screen and all that sort of stuff. So, at the end of the day, it kind of makes it easy in a way too. So you've got your phone, you've for example, maybe you bumped it or whatever, and then the Quran app opened. Or you have a stylus pen. You pick them up anywhere, if the whole world sells them. So you have the phone, it's put on a desk, not something that's in your hand. You've got the desk over there, you've got your phone on it. Now you take your stylus pen and you tap your Quran app to open. And then you use your stylus pen to turn the pages. Then this is permissible to do because you are not touching the Quran directly. It would be the equivalent of having a loose piece of cloth. For example, like you've got a towel, a clean towel in your hand, then you pick up the Mus'haf with the towel and you put it on a desk, and you take a pencil and you open up the cover and you open up to the page you want to read and you read. You're turning the pages with a pencil. You touch the Mus'haf with a towel. This will be permissible because you are not touching directly. One additional factor over here. The minute something is attached to the Mus'haf, you may not touch it. The minute something is attached to your body, you may not use it to touch with. So if you are in a state of needing wudu, for example, and you are wearing gloves, you cannot touch the Mus'haf. You cannot touch the Quran. You may be thinking, but I'm not touching. I'm using a glove. But the glove is attached to your body, therefore you cannot use it. Likewise, you're wearing a kurta now. Now you take with the edge of your kurta and you pick up the Mus'haf. This is not allowed. Because why? Your clothing is attached to your body. Hence, it takes on the ruling of your impurity as well. Take your kurta off you and be it as a piece of cloth in your hand. Then it's not a problem. Then it takes on the ruling of a loose piece of cloth because it's not attached to your body. So if you have, for example, you take your topi off your head. Now it's a loose piece of cloth. It's detached from your body. So for you to touch the mushaf with your topi in this manner is not a problem because it is not attached to your body. It is not attached to the mushaf. So it is a freestanding piece of cloth. So therefore, you may touch the Quran with it in this way. And that's why using your pen, pencil, you know, uh, whatever pen type thing that you want to use to turn the page of the mushaf, perfectly permissible as long as you are not touching the pages directly yourself. And that's the ruling basically of touching the Quran without wudu. Okay, I think we'll stop, even though we should have carried on further, but this is the last of this chapter, and chapters. We're now moving into the chapters regarding anjas. Anjas is plural of the word najasa, the impurities. So previously we were dealing with the clean parts of things, the wudu, ghusl, things of that sort. Now we're coming to the things that are dirty and how you deal with stuff which are dirty. So therefore, I think let's rather leave this one for next week, inshallah ta'ala, so we can end on this point a bit early for tonight. Until next time, we end and we say, وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد سبحان الله وبحمده سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.